to erupt at any time.
Yes, U.S. ground troops could get involved in a combination of peacekeeping, humanitarian relief, or hand-to-hand combat in the 21st century battlefield.
KREM 2's Brian Callanan shows us how the soldiers of tomorrow, the Marines, are being trained for the wars of today. Brian.
Well, Charles, we visited Marine Corps Boot Camp in San Diego, California to get a behind-the-scenes look at exactly what type of training prepares soldiers for modern-day warfare. It's part 2 of our series, So You Want to Be a Marine. Tonight, we'll show you one of the toughest endurance tests you'll ever see, and a young man from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, trying to make the grade.
What it's all about, right? Hello, teamwork. Let's get it done.
At first, it was kind of hard getting used to all of the adjustments and everything.
Come on, 45!
Robert Ritchie has been through it all. The North Idaho college student endured training with padded bayonets. He's finished off thousands of jumping jacks. He's even crawled across a high wire when his arms didn't have the strength.
41! 41!
But these basic tests were just the start. Robert's real training came in the last week of this 3-month boot camp at the Crucible.
Probably one of the hardest things that it's in my eyes that I've done in my life.
It's much more than an obstacle course. It's a mock war.
Let's go!
Complete with explosions and wounded soldiers. Casualties must be carried and sometimes pulled through mud and barbed wire.
But imagine enduring this test for 56 hours straight, rationing yourself to just 2 meals, trying to fight off complete exhaustion.
It's real emotional.
Drill instructors like Staff Sergeant Min Starzewski don't stop the testing there.
Go back to 3.
He says the Crucible also pushes each individual Marine, not as a grunt, but as a thinker.
It's letting the recruit more or less think for himself.
These young men have to get across this obstacle, using a series of planks to get from one point to another. It's a lesson in making decisions without having orders barked at you.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Today's military action doesn't have the point-and-shoot mentality of World Wars I and II. Marine recruits are now required to pass these skill and intelligence tests to graduate and to survive in modern warfare.
With Kosovo going right now, I mean, like I said, our job as a national defense is a lot more important in today's world than it has been in the past. There's a lot more of a thinking man's game now.
Thinking about the possibility of action overseas once boot camp's over makes this difficult training all the tougher for young recruits.
It brings reality to, saying, you're going to do what you signed the contract for.
But it's a duty Robert Ritchie and thousands of others are determined to pull through. Determined to join the ranks of the U.S. Marine Corps.
They are the Marine Corps' future.
Now, tomorrow we'll let you know how Robert Ritchie did, the young man you saw right there, in his quest to graduate as a Marine.
U.S. Fish and Wildlife biologists say an Air Force training center on that refuge could be hurting the environment and should be removed. KREM 2's Brian Callanan brings us the story of the Little Pend Oreille Refuge and the conflict of some national priorities.
This is a national wildlife refuge.
Protect our country.
We want to give them the means to stay alive.
Or protect our country. A U.S. Air Force survival school is fighting for life in the middle of the Little Pend Oreille Wildlife Refuge. Thanks to some national legislation, the refuge is recommending the Air Force phase out operations to reduce environmental impact. The U.S. Air Force uses these training grounds to practice evasion techniques and how not to be seen. But they're not trying to evade the National Wildlife Refuge. In fact, the Air Force says they're dealing with wildlife managers to try to figure out how to minimize their impact on the environment.
There's certain rules about what we can and can't do.
Air Force officials say their hands are tied. They're trying to reduce their impact when constructing shelters like this one, working with refuge guidelines while keeping national defense in mind.
In our minds, that is extremely important. That's why we exist. And we feel that we can do that and at the same time work within the guidelines of the Forest Service and the Department of Interior.
It's not easy.
Refuge manager Lisa Langelier has the difficult task of enforcing national law at this refuge. Though the Air Force has been a good neighbor, The Fish and Wildlife Service is recommending phasing out survival school activity along with other outdoor activities with heavy impact. It's a conflict of two national missions.
And when those missions have a conflict or a potential conflict, then our job is to manage for wildlife. Ball it up.
Much like surviving on earthworms, resolving this national debate in the Little Pend Oreille will be difficult for a number of people to stomach.
It's not something that I would choose to address if I didn't have to.
At the Little Pend Oreille National Wildlife Refuge, Brian Callanan, KREM 2 News.
Part of that story hard to swallow. Well, if you'd like to comment on the wildlife refuge you planned, there's a meeting tonight at the Inland Northwest Wildlife Council. The open house runs until 8 o'clock. Or if you'd like to see the entire wildlife refuge plan, that is, check out our website at krem.com. And you can use the shortcut, use links.
Boy, for some reason, I'm no longer hungry for dinner after watching that
Yeah, your
one.
next story has to do with...
Here we go. Undercooked fast food burgers to meat from the grocery store. What you eat can make you sick.
We've seen it before. Coming up, how researchers are zeroing in on ways to make your food safer in the new millennium. It was a case of food poisoning at its very worst. In 1993, a deadly E. coli outbreak traced to a fast food restaurant claimed 4 lives and sickened hundreds of people. Incredibly, in 1999, nearly 33 million Americans will suffer from some form of foodborne illness, and 9,000 will die.
I'm not a really big fan of throwing up.
No one is immune. Brent Johnson, son of the NFL head coach Jimmy Johnson, was flying home on the team plane when he became violently ill due to a hot dog he had eaten at the game.
The only thought in your head is, I'm sick. I'm sicker than I've ever been, and I just want it to end.
5 years from now, food will be substantially safer than it is today.
Dr. Charles Sizer should know. He's the director of the National Center for Food Safety and Technology, where food safety techniques of tomorrow are being developed. Imagine dropping your hamburger, eggs, and other foods to the bottom of the ocean to neutralize bacteria. High-pressure processing does just that without having to go to sea. Or you may drink orange juice that's been through a high-pulse electrical field and zapped by 25,000 volts of electricity and find it much sweeter.
The result is that we get a product that tastes just like fresh, and yet is very safe.
In 5 to 10 years, we will even have packaging treated along with the food, so there's virtually no chance of contamination. This high-tech assault on food poisoning may not be that hard to swallow. Experts say these new techniques will not change the taste of your food at all. Strawberries will still taste like strawberries. And if you like oysters, you'll be able to eat them worry-free. Nadine?